Two of directing our narrative poem scenes, and with us right now we have Taliyah, who's going to be reciting her poem, and I'm going to be directing her after the fact and see if she can incorporate some of those things. We've already done part one, so she's seen Khadijah's scene with Sabine directing, and the analysis that's going to happen here is going to help make her rehearsal time much more effective. So she's already in our spotlight, she's already dancing and moving. She's wearing black, which is good for actors, because then we get to see the character and not the costume. And so that's a really important point about this. We'll see our audience. We're still in a thrust stage or an intimate setting, like a black box theater, and she is standing at center stage, although she has an awareness of the audience. In a moment, we're going to begin, and when she's finished, I'll give some tips. All right? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Scene.
Well, son, I'll tell you, life with me ain't been no crystal stair. It had tacks in it, and splinters, and boards torn up, and places with no carpet on the floor, bare. But all the time, it's been a climbing on, and reaching landings and turning corners, and sometimes going in the dark, where there ain't been no light. So boy, don't you turn back, 'cause you find it kind as hard. Don't you fall now. For I still going, honey. I still climbing, and life with me ain't been no crystal chair.
Okay, don't turn it off. So, before we begin, I'm going to ask you first, what do you think the things are that you need to improve to get that, if you were to rehearse this, Bob Fosse rehearsed every single dance number he did 100 times every day before he put it on a stage. What do you think you need to do to improve first?
Be more into the character. And
what does that mean? Can you explain that?
Because I'm supposed to do the perspective from a mother, and I think that I should be more acting like a mother, just talking to her.
What does it mean to act more like a mother? What does a mother do? How does a mother behave?
With the body language, like if she's trying to explain something, she's more strict with everything.
Okay, so here's a good question from a director's perspective. Who is he? Where is he? On this stage, if you were to envision this son of yours, where would he be?
Just sitting down.
Okay, so use that as an actor as a focus. Even if you have to look in between two people in an audience, at least they'll think you're aware that you're talking to somebody or on a stage. And if you needed to use a prop, you stick a chair there that won't get in the way of the audience or something else, a block, that you can pretend you're looking into somebody's eyes. That truly makes it much more effective. Really good get. I'm so glad that you picked that up. What are other ways that you think you could be more like a mom?
Louder.
You were pretty good with your loudness. You were a little fast, but you were pretty good with your loudness. I was okay with that. Because you're in an intimate setting. You're not talking to the big stage. You're talking to the small stage. People here can hear you. How can you make these people feel for you? What's the predominant feeling of your monologue? How does that mother feel?
Like wise?
She is wise, but that's from our perspective. How is she feeling? Life for me ain't been no crystal stair.
I think her emotions are mixed. It's just like telling about her backstory and like how she was, like how it's been working.
Good. Can you be loud in your responses? That'd be great. You're right. Her reactions are mixed. She goes from different emotions. Can anybody else in the audience think of the emotions that are present in this monologue? Serious. Why is she being serious? The whole point of acting is to figure out why your character is doing what they're doing. That's called motive. Why is your character so serious? What is it she wants to impart to this audience, to that child in that moment? What is she trying to get across?
She wants him to understand that life isn't easy.
Louder.
She wants him to understand that life isn't easy.
And to prepare. You're absolutely right. So if you want to get your audience to feel like that little boy, she needs to evoke a way that the audience feels like they're the little boy she's talking to. This poem makes people cry if you do it well, because it feels like you're talking to them. It becomes universal. So here are my basic tips for you, and I'm going to ask you to try it again. 1, slow down. 2, find a focus. 3, take some significant pauses in places where you think there's real meaning. And 4, really read the text carefully because you're reading dialectically. It's written in dialect as opposed to straight up grammar, right? So take your time with it. Pretend you're talking to that child. Find a focus and do it. Are you ready? As loud as you, not as loud as you can, but louder. Okay? Ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, scene.
Well, son, I'll tell you, life for me ain't been no crystal stair. It had tacks in it, and splinters, and boards torn up, and places with no carpet on the floor, bare. And all the time, it's been a climbing on, and reaching landing, and turning corners, and sometimes going in the dark, where there ain't been no light. So boy, don't you turn back. Don't you sit down on the steps, because you find it kind of hard. Don't you fall now, for I still going, honey. I still climbing, and life for me ain't been no crystal stair.
Yay! That was so good. Stay there for just a second, don't turn it off yet. Okay, so what do you see as improvements that just happened?
She slowed down.
She did slow down. What are some other things that she did as she incorporated as she was continuing through? I saw her process. I saw her thinking. That's a thinking actor. What'd she do? She what? She said stare instead of chair. Good. That was a good one. What else?
She interacted with the audience.
She did interact with the audience. She found her focus towards the end. She started getting the emotion. As she started, she was nervous at the beginning, but as she started making punctuation with her hands and her arms. She said, because life for me ain't been no crystal stair. She was getting into it by the end of it. By the time she's finished rehearsing this, she's going to be a powerhouse on that stage. And that's all it takes. Okay, so as we go to our couples, you're going to pair off, you're going to take turns being directors and working with each other to make this appropriate so that we can film everybody's performances next week. This is a Friday. Next week, all week, we're going to be doing this. So you've got about 2 days to really practice hard and go home and run over it and read it over and over again, or dance like this, because Taliyah does it that way. And then next week we're going to have some powerhouse performances. You all get that? And sing!